Good day and welcome to the dining room table. Americans warned about possible terrorist threats by North Carolina's Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. Subscribe, like, and share. Lieutenant Governor Robinson here is holding a press conference after local police arrested an alleged terrorist that was found to be on the FBI terrorist watch list. It took them 4 hours to make the arrest. Let's listen from him.
Last week in Gates County, North Carolina, an armed illegal immigrant was arrested who was on the federal terrorist watch list. His name is Awet Hagos. Reports indicate that Hagos came into the United States from Haiti, but is originally from an area near Yemen, a known hotbed of terrorist activity. Police were called to the scene after reports of shots fired, and when deputies moved in to apprehend him, Hagos attempted to disarm a deputy before fleeing. It took law enforcement over 4 hours to finally apprehend him. After learning of this incident, I spoke with Sheriff Ray Campbell of Gates County. I was briefed by him on the situation and thanked him for honorably discharging his duties and for the courageous actions of his deputies. More importantly, I promised I would do everything I could to assist him. At this time, the suspect is currently being held and has been charged with 3 counts of assault on a government official, 3 counts of resisting a public officer, 1 count of carrying a concealed weapon. The Gates County Sheriff's Office currently has 12 deputies, yet they find themselves dealing with a violent illegal immigrant that our own national security has flagged as a potential.
So now he's going to talk about a letter that he sent to President Biden. And he's letting the residents of North Carolina know. He's letting Americans know. And he's demanding some answers. He believes that this could be bigger than just this arrest, and he wants to know. He wants to know how big is this. He wants to know is his state safe? Let's listen.
Terrorist threat. Earlier this morning, my office sent a letter to President Biden. I called on President Biden to give immediate answers. In the letter, I raised questions such as, how did Hagos enter the United States? How did Hagos get to North Carolina? Did he travel by air, interstate, or rail? Are there others? Are there other places that he's been in our state that he's traveled to or through? And should those areas be on heightened alert? Is he alone? Are there others we should be watching for? Why is Hagos on the terrorist watch list? What organizations does he have ties to? What is his motive and his training? Mr. Hagos reportedly applied for and was denied citizenship. Why? President Biden, when Hagos was denied citizenship, who was alerted of his presence? Did the federal government report this to the state? Did the federal government report any of his activity to local law enforcement? Are there more illegal immigrants on the terrorist watch list here in North Carolina? We deserve answers to these questions.
So now he's going to talk about other attacks happening in North Carolina, including cyber attacks and just, his concerns for North Carolina. He's saying that President Biden is silent and, he's wondering if anything could be near our military, our food. Let's listen.
Over the last few years, North Carolina has seen multiple attacks on our infrastructure. We've experienced a cyber attack on the natural gas pipeline, and we've had multiple power substation attacks. Hagos was living just an hour from multiple military installations, both in North Carolina and Virginia. It's imperative that we know immediately if he had known terrorist ties, or whether he's been in contact with any associates thereof. We need to know if there are any imminent dangers to the citizens of North Carolina. The silence from the Biden administration on this situation is not an isolated incident. Not even our elected officials in Congress or the Senate have been able to get any answers from him.
So there he's saying President Biden is not answering anyone when it comes to this. He's also going to talk about a migrant shelter coming in his state for 13 to 17-year-olds. You know, there are a lot of migrant children coming in with no family members, no parents, and you can't house them with the adults. But what he's going to talk about is that it hasn't even opened. It doesn't seem like it. He says 800 beds, so they're anticipating that many migrant youth to come over. And the thing about it is, I'm sure every community, no matter how many youth programs you have, you could always fund more. So if you can anticipate the need of 800 migrant beds, you had the money, you have the funds, you could have put that into some reading programs or sport programs, yoga programs. He's also going to talk about a deputy that was murdered, allegedly by someone who was picked up by ICE as a youth. A lot going on that we just can't piece together, but this is the Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina. He's here to let us know what's happening in North Carolina.
Last week, members of our federal delegation wrote a letter demanding answers regarding a migrant housing facility in Greensboro. They received no information from the Biden administration, despite this facility going online just in the last few days. There are reports that this migrant facility in Greensboro will house around 800 immigrants from 13 to 17 years old. This facility deserves a high level of scrutiny, and we deserve answers. This is not because we fear some hypothetical tragedy, but because we have experienced it. 2 years ago, right here in Wake County, a deputy was murdered by illegal immigrants. It was reported that one of those 3 suspects was first apprehended by ICE as a minor. He later managed to cross back again into the United States from Mexico. Under Joe Biden's administration, over 7 million individuals have entered our nation illegally. And it's estimated that roughly 500,000 illegal immigrants are here in North Carolina, and we have very little information about these individuals. The federal government has refused to give answers. There have been very little coordination with local elected officials and law enforcement.
So he's going to talk about President Biden making a trip to North Carolina soon. I don't know if it's for a campaign, but for you to make a trip and not speak to your governor, lieutenant governor, prime ministers or presidents call President Biden, they can get him immediately. But yet, if these governors and these lieutenant governors and these mayors in the United States say, hey, we have a possible terrorist threat, we would like some answers, we would like some coordination, we would like some communication, we'd like to know what's going on, we would like to know if our state is safe. They don't know where to go to get any answers from President Biden because he's not giving any answers himself.
So I have a message for President Biden. Mr. President, next week you will be here in our state, and we deserve answers.